Ultimately, what a man or a woman wants in their partner is to know that they are being chosen over and above everyone else. That's what we called genuine desire. So that should be obvious, but let's trace back or look at the reasons or origins as to why that might be. So going back to caveman times, hunter-gatherer times, all right, men needed to know, and even into when monogamy was a value with the agricultural revolution, men needed to have paternal certainty. So when you look at it from a biological perspective, our biological imperative is to have our offspring make it into the next generation. So with that as an internal drive, men needed to know that their offspring was in fact their offspring. So the biggest existential threat for a man is that he won't be able to mate, or that he will be duped or cucked into believing that he has mated and that those kids belong to him. And if she, of course, had, relations with the neighbor or the friend while he was out on the big hunt, and those kids aren't his, they didn't have genetic testing back then. So that was a serious existential threat, and that's where paternal certainty becomes a drive for males, and this is where jealousy comes from. So how do you ensure that your mate isn't going to cuck you and have somebody else's kids, or leave you, or take the kids with her to go be with the other tribe, right? How do you know that your genes are going to propagate into the next generation? Well, you know that through genuine desire. So when a woman has genuine desire for you, that increases your chances or level and increases your level of certainty that she wants to legitimately have your babies and not somebody else's babies. Okay? And so it is such the existential fear and that need for genuine desire is such a strong push that this is why males are they're not satisfied usually with pornography and dolls. Okay, you can get realistic sex dolls, and you can get at your fingertips any pornography that you want. What you'll see though is men who are really getting into porn, they'll get more and more devious in their tastes with pornography. Why is that? It's because it's like an itch that they can't scratch. They're getting all of the neurochemical rewards through the screen or whatever, but they're not actually experiencing that genuine desire. Most men would rather have genuine desire from a hot woman and have normal vanilla sex with her than some of the most devious sexual experiences they could have, but only through a screen, pornography or dolls, or even a hooker that's not really genuinely desiring the guy, just more or less transactionally in that relationship, right? And so for women too, well, how does a woman know that the guy is going to stick around and take care of that offspring? So a woman's existential threat is twofold. Threat number one is that she wants to make sure that she doesn't have babies with someone who is less genetically viable than what she could get. So she needs to have babies with the most genetically viable, strongest, most alpha guy that she can keep. Okay? So her number one existential threat is that the guy that she picks isn't that guy that isn't the best that she can do, which is why we can boil down a lot of female behavior, the shit testing, and a lot of things that they do, because women are duplicitous in their own sexual nature. They don't know where their desires lie. This has been studied a lot, and so what ends up happening, right? It's a very real threat for a female, that she will pick somebody that is not the best she could do, and that usually happens in marriages too, by the way. Okay, most women are not satisfied. They don't believe that the guy that they picked to be with in a long-term relationship is the best that they've had in their past. So that's existential threat number one. But then number two, And these two things will tend to compete with each other. Not only is she fearful that she won't mate with the top alpha dude that she could get, but she's fearful that that top alpha dude won't take care of the baby, won't take care of her. Females throughout history, until more recently, last 100 years or so, women relied on male resources for survival. You know, and those offspring, those kids rely on the male resources for survival. So it's a big threat to that hindbrain, that animal drive is threatened by the idea that he doesn't genuinely desire her and therefore discards her and the baby, which could mean certain death, right? 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 years ago. So this is where it comes from. But at the end of the day, whether you're male or female, you want to know that the person that you decide to long-term pair bond with, regardless of the structure of that relationship or what it looks like, you want to know that you're their best. You want to know that they've picked you above and beyond anybody else. This goes into our existential threats. This goes into our hindbrains. This goes into our animal drives, the most primitive drives we have. Create this need for knowing our long-term partner wants us above and beyond anyone else. So if you do something, okay, if you do something that legitimately makes her think or feel or him feel that he is not the best choice for you, and if your partner does that to you, you effectively ruin any kind of chances for survival for that relationship. If you can't overcome that, if you can't walk away from whatever that incident is and have her believing or him believing that you're their best, then there is no more monogamous anyway relationship or committed relationship. Obviously, casual sex things are exceptions, right? Plates, casual sex relationships, dating, you're vetting those things out at that phase, and they're vetting you. But if you're in a relationship and that person does something that calls to question that genuine desire or that idea that you are their best, it effectively destroys that bond. So keep that in mind and check your own behavior. And of course, check your partner's behavior. Because if they don't see you as the best, and if they're not choosing you every single day above and beyond any of those other options, then there is no relationship. You're fooling yourself at that point. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, I should mention, like this video, would you? And subscribe, please. I have so many people that listen to my stuff, and then I don't have as many subscribers. I'm trying to get those subscribers so I can get more information out to people who need it. So help me help other people and subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate that very much. Thank you again for listening.